And this guy charged me 300K to do a business plan. And we spent a lot of hours discussing the business that I'm going to do. Now, what surprised me is that when I got the document, I remember I'm coming from a big corporation, so I'm thinking strategy, I'm thinking, business plan. It is normally put nicely in, and bound nicely in pages. And then what I got was actually a business plan that was copied from a broker. Hi, my name is Eunice Minor, the Chief Sales Trainer and Coach at 20X Entrepreneur. I'm also the founder of Bismart, an online insurance comparison platform, and an author of 2 books, The Sell Me This Pen and Entrepreneurship Hits and Misses. So when you leave a big organization, you go through a lot of motions. For example, when I left the company I was working with, so you're leaving a big company, a company that has got structures whereby if you wanted to execute something, there are different people to pull different strings. Say for example, I was a sales manager. I had the claims manager, I had the underwriting manager, I had different other managers who I was working with, the risk managers. So in this one organization, I was not doing everything. So you leave that organization, and what happens, I normally call it like an identity crisis, whereby you're like, oh my God, where do I begin? So you have all of a sudden, so you left your organization to start this business. And then you tend to want to copy the ideas of the big company. So what I saw is that you even want a big office. You want to start in a big way. And I think this limits people especially when they have quit their job, because you want everything big. So you're thinking so big that you're losing relevance, on the small things. For example, I remember I was, if you saw the strategy that I had for Bismart when I left, the organization, I was thinking so big. And there's nothing wrong with thinking big. But now the reality dawns on you that these big things, when you're in this big company, somebody started small, like the way you're beginning. And they have taken years, like my organization was over 50 years old. So I was working for a company that has spent 50 years building systems and structures. And now I'm thinking that I am going to start this business and boom, it will just grow. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So my first year, I think I was a bit moderate in that previously I had failed in another business. I had started another business that failed. So that really had given me an idea that yes, I have come from a big brand. I have to start small. But still that identity crisis still, is still real. I don't know how many of you, when you left, you felt this. So it is so real. And the fear of failure is also real, because you're like, oh my God, are we going to succeed? So you're leaving the company with so much energy to begin this thing. And then remember now, you see all the other departments that you had? Now, they're all carried in one. You're the finance, you're the HR, you're the salesperson, you're almost the cleaner of the office. You're all these things. And you need to figure them out. And then that's when you realize that you may have been very good in sales when you're in the big organization, but then you realize that you're not doing well in sales in your own business. that becomes frustrating. And I've met many entrepreneurs saying, I was so good at what I do, but now I'm no longer doing it. So you find if you're so good in sales, you're no longer so good in selling. If you're so good in HR, you realize you're not so good in HR, because entrepreneurship is a whole different ball game. Because now you're everything. So the things that you're so good at, that time that you're focusing on that thing is now being focused on other departments that were being taken on by the big, other people in the organization. So what should you do in this situation? I can only share what I did, and the journey that I had to walk through this identity crisis. Of course, I was thinking big. I had a big strategy. I actually hired someone to do for me a business plan. You see how you start? And this guy charged me 300K to do a business plan. And we spent a lot of hours discussing the business that I'm going to do. Now, what surprised me is that when I got the document, I remember I'm coming from a big corporation, so I'm thinking strategy, I'm thinking, business plan. It is normally put nicely in, and bound nicely in pages. And then what I got was actually a business plan that was copied from a broker. My business, yes, it was like a brokerage, but it wasn't the same. There was a lot of uniqueness in my business. And that was the first disappointment I got. And this is what many business people do. So you hire many people to do for you things. But what I've learned is that by the end of the day, you're the person who understands your vision. Remember, it's not being seen. It's something that is in your head. Only you can do this. So what did I do when I discovered that nobody could do for me a business plan? I had to figure out many things. And for me, thank God that I got an opportunity to go through a training program, an incubation or an accelerator, an incubation program whereby I learned how to do it on my own. This is where I learned the Lean Canva model. The Lean Canva model is like your business plan in one page. And that was so helpful. Nobody did it for me. I just learned how to do it. Or rather, I was trained how to do it. So I did it. And that is what works. And every time I got an idea, I have an idea, I subject it to that Canva model. And what did that help? Or rather, how did that help? It actually kept us so focused. We were so clear on what is the problem that we are solving? Who is the customer we are solving for? What is our value proposition? All this in one page, that when you wake up, you know exactly what you need to do. Now, when you're working in a big corporate, you see, these guys are able to hire the biggest consultants in the world, the McKinseys, the Palladium, the PIDA, every big consultant they can afford. And then they have many people to execute this plan. So for you, if you're planning to quit your job and to start your business, you need to be aware that don't put your money where you're not getting results. So over time, because of going through that coaching program that I went through, and that's why I'm a believer of coaching, and that's why you realize that 20X entrepreneur, we don't just train. Because training is very good, but having someone to work with you is very, very important. So because of my experience, I was coached. I went through coaching. And because I went through the coaching, I am what I am. And that's why I was able to build a business that was ready for scale, a scalable business model. And you need a coach. Please do not imagine because you've come from a corporate or that company that you've been working on that it is going to be the same. It is different. We all need someone to work with. Okay, so I was privileged. I always, when I was a salesperson, I used to hire coaches. On this particular one, it was sponsored, which I say is a blessing. It was sponsored because of the nature of our business model, which was quite innovative at the time. So it is important to know that it's very big difference when you are a small company, because that company is you. And the other thing you need to remember is that because the company is you, your brand, and that's why I'm a believer that when you're working where you're working, please give it your all. Be the change that people want to see in your company, because you will be riding on that brand that you built. So when I started BSmart, customers continued coming to me, not because they knew exactly what it was I was doing, but they believed in me, because I had a previous record of achieving goals, and therefore I had built a personal brand. So if you're still employed, please build your personal brand. Use that big brand to build your personal brand, because you will need it when you're out here. You will definitely need it. I got a lot of help and support from my customers when I told them that now I'm doing this business. And they're like, Eunice, we're going to support you. What do you need? And I will tell them, just give me, they will give me referrals. They'll connect me to people that I'll never have known. And I still repeat and I still insist, please do everything you can to succeed where you are. Live at the top, because you will need all that. Apart from needing the brand that you built, you see, success has got traces. Success is a science. If you've succeeded elsewhere, then your subconscious mind understand how to succeed. So when you get into your own business, because already it's recorded that, this is how I do things, you've already acquired habits, disciplines, commitments, accountabilities that will support you. So you will go back to them and actually are able to repeat, because success is repeatable. So, and that's why I'm a believer and I'm an insister. When you get a job, yes, it may not be paying you well today, but find ways to make it work for you. I would rather you stay there for only 6 months, but those 6 months give so much value that when you leave, they are like, well, please come back. We want to negotiate your pay. All right? So you've left your big organization. Now you're running your small company of one person at a time. For me, I'm thankful to God that, and this has been my mindset every time that I've got into employment. When I get a job, I know that this job will go someday. There are several reasons that will cause a job to go. One, either you will resign, or you will retire, or you will die, or you will be fired. All these are possibilities when you have a job. And you need to be comfortable knowing that you have a job today, but you don't have it tomorrow. It's not yours tomorrow. You don't know about tomorrow. So what I do is that when I get into a job, I start preparing to leave. And one way I start preparing to leave is by saving. I save money so that if it is cut short tomorrow, I have a place to begin. So for me, it wasn't so difficult because I had saved up quite some good amount. Actually, I knew that I have 2 years of living, including the capital, once I quit the job. So leaving the job was not a problem. And therefore, when I began the business, I was able to begin with an employee who I was training as I do. And that was very helpful because at some point when the business was new, I was admitted in the hospital. I was unwell. And imagine business continued it was a whole month when I was I was really not well. And business continued and we did well. So if you could plan for your quitting, not if, you must plan for your leaving. Many people think that, you need to just switch up and go. No, I am always prepared from day one. I'm always prepared to leave. By the way, even when I start a business preparing to leave. Give you an example. Why I started Bismart with someone is because I want that when I leave, the business continues. Because business should not die because you're not there. Business should continue. And that's why processes, systems are so key in the business. So now, you started your small business. It is you and your maybe assistant. What should you do to ensure that you survive? So that you don't deplete all your savings or the capital that you have gotten before the business has taken off. Some of the things that you need to consider is start small. Yes, dream big, but start small. Start, those small steps that you have to do. Please just do it patiently. Start small and be patient. Success does not happen overnight. Now, the reason why we get into a point where we want to give up is because we are expecting success to happen overnight. If you look at all the business that have been successful, you will hear that I've been in business for 15 years. Others will say it's 20 years. Others will be 30 years. I have not seen a business that you can say this is, it's very profitable and it is successful in 3 years. It takes time. It takes time. Yes, dream big, but start small. Number 2, focus on getting traction quickly. When I talk about traction, I'm talking about get customers who are paying you. There are many ways of raising capital. One of the ways of raising capital is, in finance they call it FFF, friends, family, and fools. I would call it, I would call them people who believe in you. Your family, your friends, or your savings. That's number 1. The other way to raise capital is to sell. Especially when you're a small business. Sell. Focus on sales. I know you have left that job and you don't look at yourself as a salesperson. Yes, you must sell. Remember, no one else can sell your product at that time better than you. So focus on sales so that you keep the business going. Find a product within your business because they're normally different revenue streams. Find the one that will give you the low-hanging fruits. So you see already you've designed who your customer is. You've known the problem you solve. Out of these problems, which one can you begin with at the lowest cost? Okay? So that's number 2. Start small. Focus on selling. Get the money in. It is so important. Even if it is not enough, just have money coming in. The beauty with that and what I realized is that when you are having traction, when you have customers, you're able now to start attracting other investors because they see this is a tried and tested business model. We're not like people who are, in the US and other countries whereby people are willing to fund or financials are willing to fund just an idea. For us, we really need to work at it and demonstrate that there's a product market fit. Number 3, do not be tempted to hang on to your previous employer. And I made a mistake. This is a mistake that I did. Because when I left my job, of course, I left in very good terms. We agreed and all that. But I realized that whatever it is I was doing, I was working so hard to make sure that I don't fail. Because I was like, they can't know that I have failed. So you realize you're really hanging on. It's like a small subconscious I had to really interrogate myself, not to hold on to that. And what that did is, I was, until when I let go, I was unable to move forward because I'm still holding on to, I don't want to fail. So I was avoiding to make some mistakes that I thought would cause me to fail. Now, when you hold on to your past, either successes or your failures, because you shouldn't hold on to the past at all, whether it is success or failure. Why? If you read your Bible, Jesus told, I think he was talking to the disciples, and he said that there's no one who takes a plow and then looks back. When you have the plow, you look ahead. So please do not be tempted to look back at your previous success, because that will hold you back. So that's number 3. Let go of your past successes. Let go of your past failure. Just focus on what the business is leading you, because I believe when you're starting this, you're called to doing it. So God is willing to guide you and lead you, so long as you're looking ahead, so long as you're not looking back. The back, it was good, you did it, but drop it. That was one mistake that I did, especially in my first 2 years, that I was really holding on to my previous successes, that was leading me to either take on risks that I shouldn't, or not take on some risks that I should take. So those are some of the 3 things that you need to remember when you're leaving a big corporate to start your small business. Do you like this content? Are you enjoying this content? Please subscribe, share, comment. Let's keep the discourse going. Thank you. See you in the next video.